But hi, I'm a Women Games ambassador. But Charlie's staying with us. I'm guessing that now they went on something else. But yeah, so you went into something really negative again. Please keep going. I can't wait to try to bring positivity into this conversation.
No, that was purely me just being sour grapes. I think it's just because, like, again, like to be very like British sort of centric on it. It's just that like whole like, you know, a business person is running a national health service, not a health professional.
Okay, wait, excuse me just a sec. If I'm just going to confirm real quick that the Women Games are not watching anymore. And if yes, I'm going to fully vape in public. Okay, we're good. That's it. Hi, everyone. We're way less people now. I can vape. Keep going, excuse me. I got you in a really interesting point.
No, it's all right. Yeah, like just gotta check who's watching. Yeah, people check your tweets and all that. You know, I'll CGI out the vaping. Just like you're a goose or something. Just like
you...
I'm not that good. I'm not that good.
Can you do
it? But what was the thing?
Yeah, trying to show the good example, which is not vaping nor smoking. So.
But it just like, you know, like a business person runs the National Health Service, even something like, and you know, I've been critical of it semi-publicly, but like, you know, like for example, Mental Health First Aid England, there is not a mental health professional on their board. It's all business people. You know, like it trickles down in this way, right? Like, you know, and for me, not the best model in my opinion. There are others that I won't name, just in case. But like, you know, you get to a point where the people sort of running industries, organizations are not specialists nor professionals in that industry, and that kind of blows my mind a bit. And
but that
what would happen with robots is they go, we have developed this you know, wonderful technology. How much will you pay for it? Add an extra zero, then we'll sell it to you. Kind of crap.
The thing is that industry is also what in my sector allows to build those things. We have to be realistic for a second, and I'm going to be the real negative one here, or at least the party pooper. I'm sorry.
Get ready to clip
the
it.
Truth.
Auxane being negative. Oh.
The truth is that money in research is there for some specific hot topics, and usually most of the other topics are disregarded because, you know, it's not interesting enough. I have the luck to be in an area that is a hot topic. I work in AI ethics, which means that, fingers crossed, touching monkey, I'll keep having fundings and I'll keep being able to work on different topics. But I don't work in AI governance. Well, I work in AI governance, but that's not my main research interest. My main research interests are video game and social robots, basically the cool kids of all of those, seen as the non-serious kids of all of those.
No, I mean, like, just video game research. Yeah, we could get into a whole moral panic and funded by political agenda.
And social robots, it's the same. I mean, right before we're talking about robots taking our jobs. Come on, y'all, breathe, think. No,
Auxane,
that's it.
Don't
changing our job.
Think. Come on, that's not a thing people do.
Changing jobs, yes. But I believe in education and critical thinking. I have enormous hopes. So I'm still a positive person. But the truth is still that if I want to be funded on that kind of research, and if I want this research field to grow, we need industry. And it's not just me, it's everyone. We need industry because can you believe, I was reading a paper this morning that just came out on sex robots and companion robots. It just came out. I was so excited because people were having itch data, but at least for once, maybe their opinions were built on actual theories and not just what they thought of this morning at coffee time. Mm-hmm. And the paper is brilliant. I don't remember which one it is, which are the authors. But anyway, if I find, again, the link, I'll send it to Chris. You can put it in the description or anything.
I'll let you know. Don't worry.
And the brilliant thing they opened with is 50% more need or ask for sexual robots since the beginning of COVID. 33% were couples. and more than half were individuals. So it's important to say a third were couples. So that changes your opinion on sexual robots straight away, or the way they're being used. It's not this dorky, lonely guy in a cave somewhere, in a man cave somewhere. It can be a lot of different people. Anyway, the paper is arguing about paraphilia, so sexualities that are not considered normative. But I'm not doing any kink shaming here.
No kink shaming. It's all good.
No kink shaming at all. Everyone likes what they like, and as long as it's in the respect of everyone and consent of everyone, you go.
I might not be into it, but you do you.
Exactly. 100%. So anyway, all that to say, sex robots, a need, a demand for those. And how do we get those numbers? Because industry is willing to give them. How do we get robots that today are being more and more realistic, anthropomorphically speaking, and therefore we can see how people react to them? Because anthropomorphism, which is the way robots will look like human, whether it is by voice quality, conversational quality, or physical qualities, or behavioral in general, qualities. Anthropomorphism cannot really be studied if you don't have a robot in front of you. How do you get a robot? You need money, you need people to build it. And spoiler alert, I am in a big technical university that is renowned worldwide, and I don't have access to robots. So if in our sector, which is literally that, we don't have access to robots easily. And I was reading again in this amazing book, you have the reference in the chat. I was reading about the Media Lab at MIT. You might expect the Media Lab at MIT to have robots and use them for experiments. No, they have robots. They don't use them for experiments though, because they don't have enough and because they can break, and they break often. So
Charlie put in the chat that this opens the whole uncanny valley kind of way.
Oh yes, loving this. Sophia, have you ever seen Sophia? I'm pretty sure everyone is aware of it.
Not like by name. I can't say I have like on the top of my head.
What? It's okay. Google it. You need to Google it
right now. Like what?
Sophia the robot.
I'll do it on my.
It got a nationality. She got a nationality. Yeah, she was the first robot to get a nationality. It was in the Emirates, I think. How do you call that in English?
The UAE, United Arab Emirates. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Anyway, it got a nationality. Look at it. It is creepy as hell. Talking about uncanny valley. This is the weird feeling, the weirdest of feelings. But so if you want to do that kind of research that is really about interaction, of course you can do what I try to do, which is find solutions through virtual environments, such as Detroit Become Human, which is a great game, or do theories based on a lot of learning and other people's research, except again, we don't have a lot of data. But it is really hard. And that's where industry kicks in. And I am in a hot topic area, which means I am in a funded area of research.
No, I mean, look, I'm dunking on business because I just generally have anti-capitalist views. But I will say,
do you?
Yeah, I know the guy from Liverpool with left sort of leaning political view. Who knew? But like just you are right, and like even from the perspective of video games, moral panic, so much of the research was informed by political views because money doesn't talk, it swears, as Bob Dylan once wrote. It's one of my favorite quotes. And they were finding the things the politicians wanted them to find because that paid them more to find those things again. Sometimes suspiciously with exactly the same data, have it or not. But it took like years, and I mean literal years, for me to develop like my PhD idea, to just try and get a uni to bite at the fact that video games might not be used for just gosh awful purposes. Like someone trying to be, but what if video games are good though? Like no, everyone was just like, nah, no one looks at video games, mate. Go somewhere else. We're not interested.
Can we just cite here your legend of a supervisor?
Of course,
Linda Kay, which is a legend. Again, there you go. And your second supervisor, Liam Cross. which in my opinion is just as much as a legend. Amazing human being, amazing researcher. So
I am very lucky to have a great supervisory team. I'll drop the other names in Dr. Damien Litchfield and Dr. Peter Van Gorp, all very great people. I have a very good team. I'm very lucky.
And those people are really qualified, and they talk about a lot of stuff related to video games and everything psychology. And for that, thank you, because they allowed for a thesis like Chris's and for a thesis like mine when I was in master's.
Yeah, well, I mean,
opened the way.
I'll point out, you know, I'm over here at Edge Hill, like I got where I am, and then now there's a couple more people looking at video games now. It's become on trend, and like it's happening because then you build a base of expertise, and even again, like in sort of my side of the coin, if you will, there's a big call for like, well, why aren't more psychologists working in industry with game developers?
Yes.
Because there's a mental health need in the development industry, but also like representations of mental health, representations of characters experiencing ill mental health. Like, I mean, there are qualified professionals who also happen to be nerds that really like video games that could really help consult and at the very, very least produce like better sort of like, you know, elements of mental health and, you know, character and stuff. Like, I'm not saying that like writers don't do good jobs or anything like that, you know, but I'm just saying like we can help.
It's not because it's good that it cannot be better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a motto. Can you say motto in English? Yeah. That I think all researchers need to work with as a lifestyle. Your research can always be improved. Your results can always be improved. And you can still be happy and still see that it can be better. And I think that everyone should work that way when you create something.
I'm really, really pleased that you said that, you know, because I think, I can't remember if I said this to you personally, but like one of the big gear shifts for me mentally with like a PhD, well, I realize we've gone way off topic here, I apologize. But like, was like that gear shift of when you're a student, like particularly even at like master's level, postgrad, like you do an assignment, you get it in for the deadline, never think about it again. So you get your results, you go yay or nay or meh, and then you go, okay, on to the next one. Whereas like at this level, and I think the way research should be seen is that it's not a case of it ever being done. It's you produce your best draft based upon the time you had to collect the data, the time you had to write it. Like it can always be improved. And, you know, Charlie's dropped it in there, but like cross-subject collaboration, you know, multidisciplinary work, to use some buzzwords. Like that's how you produce. That's how you produce the best stuff. Like people from different expertise bringing different availabilities, knowledges, datum, and stuff that produces the best research. Like, but there is this almost like snobbishness of like, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. Like,
well, I'm happy to say I am in the opposite of that. But like all our work is meant to be super interdisciplinary. Sometimes to a point where it becomes we don't speak the same language with other people. So, you know, adaptation is part of the job. But I agree. And when we talk about interdisciplinary, we talk still inside academia. And that's also where I want to go back to what we were mentioning before, having businesses. Yes, of course, you always have those big bad wolves of business that are there for the money, and that's it. But I have met in the past year and a half people from business that are giving me hope in humanity and keeping my cheer up. I know. And those are educated people that want to put out their robots for good. And they want to do something good. Of course, you will want to have money to come back into the company because that's how you produce the robots. But there is a difference, in my opinion, in the intention behind getting a product out there.
Okay, so to try and circle this back a little bit to Detroit, right?
Yeah.
It's funny that you're saying it like this because I think, and this is a different tangent, but it kind of loops back. There is almost like that attitude in the industry of we'll put anything and everything out and charge people for it, and we will turn a profit because games are like $70 $80, like £60 for a game that might not even be finished when it's put on shelves.
Are we talking about Cyberpunk or something like that?
I mean, that's a very like relevant example, but you see it a lot just generally.
Yeah.
Like day one patches and stuff. And I'm not saying that like that it becomes a broader issue of like developers don't have enough time and crunch and all that type of stuff.
Of course.
That's all crap. But like this idea, I think one of the reasons that's maybe harder to do is because the gaming industry is like, well, we churn them out. We get a new COD every year. We get a new this and that because it's like we're still making the money. Always going to make the money. And this is a debate I've seen many sort of streamers have, many sort of game fans have, is that like it can just feel like that kind of factory at times. And there aren't quite the people in there yet being like, no, we want to. And you're seeing it with a lot of like great indie companies that like, no, we want to do this right.
Yeah.
And we have a 4-day working week because we care about our developers and our team. Like,
I'm going to put out in the chat the name of Furhat Robotics, which is a company that helps research on social robots and is developing a social robot for educational purpose. And they're thinking of making it a bit more than that at the moment. I don't want to disclose too much because I'm not sure how much they made public. But this company is an indie company. It is a startup initially. It's growing. It's honestly growing by the minute, and they're amazing. And I've had the chance to discuss with them. And those are the ones that give me hope in humanity in the future for robotics. Also, because when I contacted them saying, hello, I do ethics of social robotics. I come from psychology. Is there any chance you'd be interested in discussing? Their answer was, yes, please. When are you free? And then their first question was not, do you want to buy a robot? Their first question was, so what do you think about this and this and this and this and this? Because we have questions, but we're not sure. Please tell us, because we want to know. And I know that there is more than one company out there that is like that. I have seen some companies testing their robots in an ethical setting with an ethical experimental design, trying to make their robot as ethical as possible with the least bad repercussion possible. So it is possible. Possible being keyword here. I've said it probably 10 times in the past 30 seconds.
Chance would be a fine thing, as they say.
But it is amazing. So that is what I want to believe in for the future of robots. If we circle back to Detroit, I think that we will not get there. We will not get to the point where we will have slaves, robots as slaves, even though we could argue we already do that, but they are not as close to being human as the ones in Detroit, right? Because even physically,
people are always going to view their like Roomba as a smart vacuum, right? They're never going to see
and
that.
It is cute, okay? People love Roomba. Roomba is one of the robots that works the best in the entire world, and it is not that smart. It's just because it's animal-like and it behaves like an animal. There you go. I said it. Zoomorphism. That is what sells robots. Stop thinking to do human-like robots.
Well, I mean,
unless it is a specific purpose.
If you want to be even more reductive, though, right? I mean, like, think about how long have we had like those little robot dogs that do like the backflips and stuff, or like Furbies were a nightmare.
Furbies. Okay, Furbies. I wanted to get there. Furbies. Let's talk about it. I love Furbies. They are the worst thing and the best thing on this earth. And I love cats. They're my favorite animals when it comes to pets. So that gives you also an idea of how much I like independent stuff that do weird stuff. But Furbies are the most amazing toy. They started off 15, 20 years ago with something that was just there to cry, say they're unhappy, say they're happy, and have a few captors to know if it's upside down or not.
Well, I mean, hold on. I never gave my permission to be made into a toy. Cry, constantly remark I was unhappy, have a few defaults for if I was upside down. Like I didn't consent to that. Where's my royalty check?
Give it to me now. And now Furby has evolved into this thing that has an app. And you can do so many things with this Furby. It's like Tamagotchi plus mil. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. And kids today, no Furbies. It's like Pokemon. It's that kind of stuff where I'm just amazed by how intergenerational it is. And I can bet that Furby will deliver one of the first smart toy, like real smart toy, not app-based toy. Or I wish, at least I wish they would, because they have the data, they have the background, they know. And I mean, Furbies are just amazing. I want an autonomous Furby. I want a Furby that has opinions and it comes from somewhere. Put a neural network in there.
A Furby with opinions sounds like literal nightmare fuel. Furby mods are amazing. Oh no.
Oh my gosh. I want those. I want a Furby. I'm going to experiment with Furbies. It's going to be great.
Oh man, like, I mean, that's a horror film and a research paper waiting to happen.
I can make a horror movie pun in the first part of the title if you want.
Yes. Dawn of the Furby. Day of the Furby, it all works.
The 13th Furby, something like that.
Nightmare on Furby Street. Oh gosh, like that would be...
But can you imagine? And so why did that work? Why do those things still work today? Why do those toys still in households and no one wants to put them through the window? Well, kind of sometimes. I want to throw it, but but you know, people keep buying them and keep playing with them because they are animal-like, because they are not too complex, because they are not scary, because they might be annoying, but that's about it. And I think that's something we need to work towards a bit more when we talk about social robots and companion robots. And in Japan, they have developed amazing robots that way. The Lovot, put that in the chat as well. Lovot is this little thingy that looks like a penguin with fur. Yeah, kind of. It's just super cute. It rolls around. It has a captor on its head. It has an enormous amount of captors, cameras, and stuff. The purpose of this is to autonomously go around your house and hug you when it sees you.
Oh God! Oh no! That sounds horrible.
It is amazing.
You're just there, like standing in the kitchen, and then just like
because it rolls around.
It just rolls. And it just hugs you like from behind.
And then,
like
it's really small.
That'd be weird. It's just like this, like grabbing your leg. Like, oh gosh, like
it is just the cutest thing. I swear.
They also elicit the need to care in humans, apparently. Oh no.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is also a big point of why we like robots, because all of those robots I've been talking about, they're all defenseless, like they look defenseless. And we have a thing for kittens, right? There's a reason.
Maybe you'll know this, but are there any animals in Detroit? Again, are there any animals at all?
I haven't seen any.
I don't even think there's any non-robotic animals. But because I mean, they have I
have seen dogs.
There is a dog.
Yeah, but it was not a robot dog. It was a dog, dog.
Yeah, because the reason I ask that is because the Black Mirror kind of trope of the robot dogs that hunt people down and destroy human civilization.
Okay, that is another. Yeah, that is Black Mirror. I love Black Mirror
because there is they've developed that dog-esque walking. It's not designed to be cute, but it walks. You always go back to pet the dog. I think I remember petting a dog actually.
I lost this one. My memory stored it somewhere else. Don't have access. Petting a dog. It might have happened. Let me check.
I love the squad is on it. Don't worry. We'll find out. We will have the facts for you momentarily.
Petting the dog. Detroit. I'm sure this research will work really well.
Oh yeah, the Google never lets anyone know.
Become human.
Oh, Hank's dog. Yes, of course. Sumo.
Yes.
I'm both blind and stupid. Yes. Sumo is excellent. Yes.
Yes. And this is a real dog. And also in the streets, you see real dogs. The Rottweiler. Yeah, Rottweiler, definitely. And you have all the dogs in the streets that are being walked by robots sometimes, and sometimes by owners. Parents, I'd rather call them parents of dogs than owners of dogs. And yeah, and so there is real dogs, but I think it's also because, you know, the robots are humanoid, so they took the party to not do animal robots. Can you imagine an autonomous cat?
That would literally take over the world.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to imagine like having a robot cat autonomously doing its thing. How? No, cats are just so weird. It wouldn't work.
It would be too autonomous. Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
You can have too much independence.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you?
Like, especially if you're not equipped to manage said independence. Like.
Yeah. But anyway, so robots are cool, and animal robots are cooler even because they are not scary. And going back to the Uncanny Valley comment, Uncanny Valley comes partially from fear and non-understanding what's up. Is that human? Is that not? Do I recognize it? Not sure. Cognitive dissonance, unhappiness, because when you're not sure, uncertainty is the most uncomfortable state of mind.
Now we're whipping out the psychology. Oh yeah,
being serious again, dropping big words. And so yeah, if you have an animal, it needs no food, so it has no need for animal. Oh wow, it has no needs for humans. Yeah, but I have a strong belief that cats also have loyalty built in. I don't know.
That that's a controversial opinion.
I know. My cats were loyal to me. And I was not the only one feeding them.
We've been like chatting up like, you know, racial things and, you know, like real like deep stuff, and then it's like, whoa, you think cats have loyalty? That's end of interview. That's it. No,
that's it. That was the one topic, the one thing you could say.
The one line, too far.
Let's not go there. But yeah, so if we are to build robots, I mean, would you, okay, big question. Maybe we take a break before we answer it, but I want to put it out there before.
Okay.
And everyone thinks about it and can put in the chat the answer. Something is trying too hard to simulate. We then naturally have an inbuilt trust. Do we though? That's part of the Uncanny Valley thing, I think.
Okay. Oh, like so like distrust, yeah. So like if something is like trying really hard to blend in, you become naturally suspicious of it. Yeah.
Yes, 100%, because you know evolution and surviving and recognizing or not things.
Danger.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
Danger, alarms. So one question before we take a quick break, and everyone think about it. Do you think if we were to take the path of having humanoid robots, it would really end up like in Detroit when it comes to using them as tools, having them looking really human, but still treating them badly into slavery, the position of sex robots as well, the position of working robots, all that. And if yes, why? If no, why? Why do you think there would be differences?
That's interesting. Yeah, I will say we are chatting with chat. Don't worry about that. We are just about to take a break though. Yeah. Do we think we would reach?
Yes, we do answer chat.
Detroit. Do we think that is a great question? We'll go to a break. Rolling out all that type of business. Do bear with us. We'll be back very, very shortly. Yeah, don't go away. This is a great combo. We'll be back in just a moment. You step away for 30 seconds. Now all kicks off.
Crazy.
I went
still muted.
I went the loo. Mario went the loo. It's all good. Right, so yeah, what were we chatting? Few new people in chat. Hi, how's everyone doing? Great to see you.
Hi everyone.
What's with the music? So I just play a bit like random game music while I'm off screen usually. It's like there's a whole range of like video game soundtracks. I think Hollow Knight was on when I sat back down. So the big question: do I think we will end up like Detroit? Okay. Negative Nelly over here. Honestly, I think I'm going to give you a few different standpoints, right? From a human standpoint, I think yes, because there will always be people that do not value or do not observe, pardon me, do not observe the inherent humanness of anything other than themselves, right? I mean, we don't even treat other people well at the minute.
True.
There are also people who, and I don't like saying it, but don't treat animals right. So that's a big question, right? From a robotics point of view, and I think maybe it does come through the playthroughs. I don't know. I haven't explored every option, but we don't know what causes the deviancy. And let's be honest, if you've used any technology, you know it's basically janky and it's prone to failures. So there is likely to be a chance that things will go wrong. So, I mean, was it Mantis Lord's theme? I think it was. I'll double check. Yeah, Mantis Lords. Great banging track from the game. But yeah, like that was a thing. That was a whole thing. And could you trust the AI to never break? I don't think so. So would we end up in the exact point like in my playthrough where it goes nuclear, literally? Probably not that far, but I just can't. I just don't think it'll be Harmony and Roses either, unfortunately.
Okay. So the first approach would be to say, do you think that we'll get to the beginning of the game Detroit? So before we even start talking about deviance, because this is more of a game thing. Just bad judgment, as it doesn't matter as they aren't sentient. Okay, so it can be all too hard to dismiss bad treatment because they're not sentient. That's interesting. I'll get right back to that.
Honestly, I can see us maybe hitting that point, like the sort of commercialization of robots, because I think there's that
like humanoid.
Yeah, I think there's that appeal. Mm-hmm. People want it. There's a desire for it. I think there's okay. So the science again. This is me making jokes, but science advanced for two reasons. One is to sort of just push the limits of what we know and can do, and also money. So
yes,
it's there
and survival. Let's not forget wars. Yeah.
All too easy to dismiss. Sorry, getting myself. No, it's all right. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's all too easy to dismiss robots because they're not really people. But yeah, like can we get that far? I think we will, or at least people will try as hard as possible to get us there.
I think there's people working towards that. I mean, when I saw the humanoid approach that Elon Musk was putting out there, that was my reaction, literally. On the other hand, Amazon, which is another one of those big monsters out there when it comes to tech, was offering a more zoo-like approach with a little robot that looks like a robot that is meant to go around. Now, if we just go back for a second to what Charlie was talking about, so dismiss bad treatment because they're not sentient. That is a really, really good. That is a really good point. But I'd answer with animal rights and how they were built. Animal rights were not put out there to protect animals. Animal rights were put out there to protect humans from their own behavior, because the society that treats badly animals when they became pets and were not tools anymore, but became liked and loved by humans, that's what motivated the first animal rights. After, if we don't take into account all the European and colonial approach to having animals on trial. They are objects. I'm sure you disagree with this sentiment. I'm sure. But yes, they are objects. But that's how were perceived the animals for a really long time. They were even sent to war. and was sent to war as tools, the same way that we're sending right now robots to war as tools. And talking about the military, we're finally getting to that point. There has been studies done with robots that they are AIs, but they're zoomorphic, they're not anthropomorphic. Talking about an enormous centipede that is meant to go on fields and make bombs explode. So literally the point of this centipede is to make bomb fields unbombed, basically, and to explode. That's its purpose. The crew or team, or I don't know the exact term in English, that was working with this centipede ended up not wanting to see it go on the field because they grew attached to it, because we're humans and that's what we do. Even though this thing, except for the fact that it looked like a centipede, and let's be honest, it's not the most beautiful insect. It's not really attractive. Ooh, you disappeared, you reappeared. This is not the most attractive animal, and people still got attached to it because that's what humans do. We get attached and we perceive loyalty. We perceive even our dogs. I mean, who knows if dogs are loyal?
Hold on. When you literally
Why did you go to that? Okay.
minutes ago trying to
because
tell
I'm
me
aware of my own bias.
Trying to tell me that cats were loyal, and then you're questioning the loyalty of dogs. Hold on.
Cats.
So
cats.
I don't want to out you, but are you just not a dog person?
I am a dog person. I love dogs. I do love dogs. I love all animals that are cute.
If you want to be cynical, you can say that animals only perceive to care about humans because they act in ways that they know will generate things that they want or food. They do certain actions because they know XYZ leads to food, right? So that you could be really cynical, but I mean, I freaking love my dog. I know I feel that sense of love, right? I'll say
exactly.
That,
and I'm pretty sure your dog has the equivalent for a dog, and I cannot say for sure that it is the same as for humans. And that's where I wanted to go. I'm not saying animals don't have feelings. Far from that. I actually do believe they have emotions and therefore feelings, but I cannot say for sure that it is the same as human feelings or human emotions. There is some similarities in fear and joy, of course, but what it translates into is different. Maybe, probably.
Sorry, I feel like I should point out I'm playing with my D20. And
why are you playing with your D20?
I just like to fiddle. I'm a fiddler.
It's to know.
But I keep
to know how hard the answer is gonna be.
Yeah, I've been doing rolls for all my answers this entire interview. I'll play with my Shield of Faith instead.
You can play with
whatever you want. I'm fiddling with this, just so we're all clear.
I'm fiddling with.
Nice.
Yeah. Post-its, a lot of post-its. Anyway, all that to say that when we first put the animal rights up, it was not to protect the animals because they were still not perceived. But with a cat, you earn the love. I agree. Thank you, Charlie. You earned the love. And we give things name. That was a really good point to make as well. We have a tendency to get attached to even non-responding things. I am a violin player. I've been playing violin since I'm 5 years old. And I got my...
Things you didn't know.
Exactly. And I got my grown-up, so final violin when I was 13 years old. And I am turning 27 at midnight. And this has been 14 years. It's my birthday. Tomorrow is my birthday. But the best way to spend birthday, talk about social robots, video games.
Talking about work?
Nerding out. No, we're nerding out. We're not being... Happily, I don't speak exactly like that at work. At least I hope not, because people would not take me too seriously again. Thank you, Charlie. And so, so we're having those rights that are put out there. and violin, that's where I was. Yes, and so I had my violin 14 years ago now. And I love it. And I say it, but in French, we don't have the neutral.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it has to be gendered.
Yeah.
So it's a him for me.
Okay.
So because violin are masculine. So it's a him.
Violins are masculine. That's an opinion.
Yeah, it is. Violon. That's how we gender.
I'm joking. I'm busting you. I'm busting your balls. Like,
it's grammar. Go talk to the academy, not me. And so, and it has a name because I gave it a name when I got it when I was 13, and I decided that it was going to be called Apollon, like Apollo, the god of music.
Nice.
And
I love a bit of Greek mythology.
I mean, Greek family, so kind of have to. All our cats had Greek names as well.
Oh,
and so my violin is a person to me. And I know I perceive it as a person, even though it is not. It is wood, and it is amazing wood. It is a work of art, but it is not a person.
People that watch this back, people like that for no apparent reason tune in for the whole stream and are like, whoa, have they been drinking a really serious conversation about like, and I was like, my violin as a person. That's the title of this video now. I'm going to put this on YouTube, my violin as a person. And like, that's...
My violin is a person, okay?
No, because we name things. I know it's a bit meta, but like I listened to one of my favorite podcasts is History is Sexy. Really, really good podcast hosted by Dr. Emma Southern and Janina Mathewson. Really, really great podcast. Really love it. And they actually did an episode on pets, like how pets came into be. And like, you know, one of the first things to sort of say is that like we just kind of gathered some wild animals and domesticated them and just said, you're now mine. And it was like a property kind of ownership thing. And like how we then kind of superimposed that, you know, we give them names, so we tell them we're a pet, we form an attachment, and then like again, psychologically speaking, like impose that, well, they're feeling the same things too. And through evolution, I guess is the easiest way to kind of say it, and maybe selective breeding, like we breed the characteristics we like. So, you know, puppy dog eyes, that was the thing that one dog did and got rewarded for it, and they thought, okay, well, we like this, so they bred more dogs that did that. And that kind of you know, attitude, and how like it, you know, pets shouldn't really be a thing because we kind of unfairly just took wild animals and kept them indoors or made them work. Yeah, so that's like questionable. But like even with things, I mean, look at me behind me, you can see all my sentimental crap. Like, you know, I have.
Are you saying that your mangas and other comics are persons?
Not necessarily like that, but like you have a sentimental attachment to things that you know aren't sentient. Like, you know, like so like my handheld collection, like I have like specific memories to like when I got them, or like your games I've played with them, and things like that. Like, so, you know, like that, you have that sentimentality, and then when you add that onto something else that is more emotive, like you give a name, like, you know, Charlie put like how many people name their cars, or like I play guitar, all my guitars have names, so you know you are sort of like attaching that humanistic element to what are inanimate objects, and when you again you sort of sticky note that onto robots that you have programmed to act, respond, and I'll go as far as say simulate feelings. Like
they are. Oh no, you can say it entirely. It's part of the definition. They simulate feelings.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Do they feel feelings? Like that's the point.
It's not how it's coded at this point.
Okay.
Because also, let's be really clear, AI is dumb.
I mean, if you've asked the smartphone anything in the past 5 years,
just try to have a conversation with Siri, okay, Google, Alexa, and you'll see. Sorry, so sometimes when I do that, it starts talking. Happened to me on a podcast as well. But yeah, so
out of interest, and this like because you know these kind of things are kind of Englishly centric. Do you find that like smart AI, quote unquote, is better or worse in different languages? Like, does your Alexa like function better in French than in English?
My Alexa is bilingual because thanks to Canadian. This way I don't have to change language when I speak to it, depending on which. But when I don't work, I will mostly think in French. But as soon as I even think about work, everything is in English. And so I don't want to have to make the effort to translate one thought in one language or the other. So Alexa is Canadian bilingual.
Interesting.
Yeah, but that's language cognition.
All voice AI hates Scots. I mean, people say Scouse people need subtitles, so yeah, I feel you there.
I don't want to be rude nor mean nor anything, but when I started living in Ireland, first of all, I decided that I've been lied to and that I didn't. I spoke English, but those people didn't. And then I met a Scot in Ireland that was there to help me translate the Irish English into English.
Sorry, Hoffa was being an absolute legend and gifting a sub to Charlie in the chat as that happened. So there's a whole lot of music, but you that's the start of a joke. I was in Ireland and I met a Scotsman.
And I swear, my first day in class in Ireland, I did my master's there. I'm sorry if any Cyber Psych 2020 promotion is gonna watch this someday. I love you all. I miss you all. I couldn't get a word of what those people were saying. I swear to God, Rob, the head of the masters at the time, ununderstandable. Anyway, it was not in a pub, but it ended up in a pub. And so anyway, the Scottish was supposed to translate for me. And to be fair, he had one of the best accents out of all the stuff around me at that point. But then I also saw him outside of like a context where he was trying to make me understand what he was saying. And I got lost. And it took me a full year and a half to understand what y'all Scots and Irish, which don't have the same accent, I hear it now, were saying. And it took a wild bachelor weekend in Galway with Scots and Irish drunk to get to the highest level of understanding.
That is the start of a very, very crap film, but a very, very good book. My Weekend in Galway.
My Weekend in Galway.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So I think not only the Scots need subtitles, but anyone. Yeah, it was a blast. But yeah, everyone that does not speak English like it's learned in schools around the world at some point at the beginning would need a few subtitles.
I mean, again, though, so Scouse. I would say I don't have like a thick Scouse accent. Like I can throw it on, like, you know what I mean, lad? Like this is like proper.
No, you have an accent, like, Chris. Your accent is hard, okay?
but this is like pure Scouse. You know what I mean? Like even for like in the Scouse dialect, like this is like proper thick Scouse accent. You know what I mean? Kid, like yeah. But I've been like in like London, or like someone thought I was Irish, and I was like, what? Scouse doesn't sound anything like Irish because obviously like Liverpool, particularly in Ireland, both being ports, like have a very sort of colloquial kind of relationship. Like we're very used to understanding the difference between our accents. So like they're like two completely different salads, yo.
Not the same at all. Not the same at all.
Scouse has also been confused for like Geordie as well, like a northeastern accent. Like it all depends on where the people hearing it from. But like I don't know, like it for me, it's so distinct. How could you perceive it as anything else?
When you arrive and your English is not your first language, or even when it is, actually, I was a tour guide in a whiskey distillery in Dublin. Another fun fact about.
I mean, that has story written all over
it. But and I am a non-native. But if you are a non-native, you will wonder if I am a native, just because my accent is not like this, and I don't speak with the extremely strong French accent, even so I can. So So people don't realize I'm French straight away. And actually the Americans, and I'm pointing fingers here, and it was same Canadians and Americans, thought that I was Irish. Because yes, where, I don't know. I say Dublin. That's the only Irish twang you can find in my language. I say Dubs, Dublin, and that's it. So even natives.
I'm flabbergasted.
I had South African as well. A lot of, oh, this accent, is it South African? I know I'm blonde haired, but that doesn't make me a South African straight away.
That is, that's a more a hot take. Yeah, okay. We're gonna leave that one where it is.
Exactly. So you see, it's not just the natives that don't get exactly where the accent is from. In general, everyone gets a bit whatever. Yeah. But you can hear I'm not native, though. Yeah. So, in the end, this relates a lot to bias in AI because AI and accessibility. And if it depends on your accent, if your AI is going to understand you, then we have a big accessibility problems. Mm-hmm. Imagine you're talking to your robot and you're like, turn the light off, and you say it with an accent that is more like, turn the light off, or something like that. And the thing doesn't understand you, then.
So I actually had an instance of this, and it's more like the AI being bad. But like, so I'm not going to name names. I won't say.
Okay.
But in my household, there was a request to alter the brightness of a lamp in the house, and unbeknownst to the users at the time, because of the way the language was used, an alarm was set for 4 a.m. Put the lamp on full, turned into set alarm for 4 a.m. And needless to say, that was quite a shock to wake up to at 4:30 when it had just been going off and the dog was barking, and then everyone was like, what the heck is going on? And that, and this is, it shouldn't have happened.
Yes. I think it's hilarious, though. It's a great practical joke to do on someone, but yes. And that's, this is a big question that we're laughing about right now, but there is a big discussion around language and also dialects. Mm-hmm. Because if we start talking about UK and Ireland, we can also talk about Gaelic and the different Gaelic present there. And the different, I'm gonna guess, and that's a wild guess, shout at me if that's wrong, that there is even different sorts of Gaelic, of Scottish Gaelic, and different sorts of Irish Gaelic, just with the accent and the...
Charlie's like, yes.
I know, it's your field, Charlie. That's also why I'm bringing it up. Please put in the chat.
Yeah, chip in.
Whatever you think is relevant. And just this, if you want your AI to recognize all of that, you will need to train it. And to train an AI, you need data. And if you want data, you need a population that has those data. And the culture washing, and I'm referring to France right now, that has been happening where we lost most of our dialects, means that we don't have the data to train those AI anymore, but we still have people that speak those languages. So how do we fix this representation and accessibility problem? You could do a thesis on this, 2, 3, 10, probably.
Well, there's just there's a big movement about lost languages, anyway, isn't there? You know what I mean? Just the fact that we are losing so many languages that, shouldn't be, either by record or, just fewer and fewer people are speaking them,
Yeah. When you talk, in Brittany, so in France, we have this region called Brittany that I'm going to guess most of you have heard of. And in Brittany, they used to have a Gaelic language as well. So that was the 4th Gaelic language. And it disappeared because schools had to be in French and it disappeared. And I have a lot of really close friends, including my best friend that are from Brittany, born and bred, family, entire generations from there for some of them. And the grandmas, they can speak a bit of Gaelic still, but everyone else has lost it. And in my opinion, this is the saddest thing that can happen to a culture. And I know that the Scots and the Irish can definitely relate to that. Then you take the accent into account. Oh, yeah. The accent in AI is just terrible. Yeah. And the Scots accent in general is, to be fair, I'm not an AI, but not that hard to learn.
I'm not an AI, but
I'm not an AI, but seriously. The knowledge holders tend to be more elderly and the language and culture is mostly oral. So when they pass, the language and culture dies too. This is right. This is true. I think that this is a pattern that you can see in a lot of different areas. I'm just hoping, and this is personal hope, that one day, because Brittany in France it's kind of our joke to say that they're super independentist and they want their culture, and they're probably the most cultural of our regions, with Corsica and Pays Basque, which is near Spain, basically. Those are the regions that kept the most their initial culture, their pre-French culture. And seeing their language die is just terrible, because with the language comes a lot of other things. So for an AI to be able to know all that, it comes from data, and data is hell because data is biased. And right now we're trying to build a lot of softwares that are here to audit AI database. But anyway, if we get into technicalities, we can talk about machine learning and that kind of things, and how the AI can learn as it goes as well. And this is exactly what we're seeing with the robots in Detroit. And I'm making that link on purpose, but also so that everyone has a good example in mind. If you take Kara and you put Kara in a household like Marcus is in, Kara will be able to do the same things, but her conversations will be really different. Her conversations learned will be way more than, hello, yes, sir. Her conversations will be way more developed. You also have this idea of cloud sharing the data. So if one carer learns that, the other carer learn it as well. And so even if if the first carer was just Alexa good, Amazon's Alexa level good, it could end up being Kara from Detroit good, with a bit of imagination and a bit of quantum AI, I'm gonna guess. But anyway, machine learning, a few neural networks in there, and a lot of evolution, technologically speaking, and we could get there in the conversation. Not talking about feelings, not talking about sentientism here at all. If you're interested in that kind of topic, to see the difference between conversation ability and intelligence in AI, I would recommend looking into the Turing tests that is historically known, and the Chinese room. That is an experiment that you can find on YouTube that proves how the Turing test is a bit irrelevant when it comes to intelligence, but really good for communication.
Okay, interesting.
So anyway, we're just talking about language ability here, and it would be reachable in a way, but you need data and you need learning. So maybe one solution is to put multiple robots with multiple households with different dialects and have it learn. But that would need a pre-basis of recognizing words.
And then
even though
sorry, you were going to read it. I was just about to read out.
Yeah. Even though Scotland's small accents and dialects can change between neighboring villages that hold 250 folks, the task of mapping that would be impossible. So a self-learning, constantly adapting system would be needed. Yes, exactly. But you would need a common basis. And this is a linguist's job, I guess, to come up with a common basis that the AI could understand.
I think another thing I'd like to kind of, I guess, get your perspective on, because it's something that does kind of come up in Detroit. But this idea of like data sharing, so say with like the Connors, for example, like you just boot another one up, give it the same memories so it knows what the last one did up until the point it broke. Like, there's like that as an operation, but then also the idea that like relating it to the languages, like, do you think there's a way that you could preserve that knowledge digitally and then like insert it into the AI later?
Yes. Those data sets need to be built only once. And if we share the data, and here we get into another lens, the lens of GDPR and AI Act and everything that is going to come after that in the coming 2 years. I'm putting a bet out there right now that we're going to have a new GDPR specifically for AI in the next 2 years being proposed.
You heard it here first.
Exactly. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm half hoping for it though.
Especially like, it's important to point out, maybe because if people don't know, but like part of the data gathering kind of efforts, need outs. Part of the data collecting the efforts is like it has to get the data from somewhere, and like, you know, I don't want to creep anyone out, but